Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is an utmost pleasure to speak at this very important Business and Climate Summit and to address such an important floor of experts and professionals. It is also a pleasure to be a core partner in the organization of the second edition of the Business and Climate Summit here in London. We at CGM, we have a platform, and we gathered today to come with 20 representatives of key players in the business, representing various sectors of the economy, and all are concerned about climate issues, and we all are committed to action. This year, Morocco is hosting COP22. It is both a privilege and a big responsibility. However, it is not the first time that Marrakesh, for those who doesn't know, that Marrakesh is hosting COP. COP 2007 was in the Moroccan Red City, Marrakesh, in 2001, yes, 2001, COP7. Our interest and commitment to climate changes are not new either, because we were involved in 1995 with the process of climate negotiations when they were initiated in 1995. Then we were also involved in COP7 in 2001 and COP21 last year in Paris. Since the end of the 90s, CGM, our Confederation of Enterprises, the largest business network in Morocco, was also among the first organizations worldwide to take the set of initiatives that embraces the climate issues, such as, first, the setting up of a permanent committee in charge of energy, climate, and green economy issues, also hosting the National Cleaner Production Center, that is what was created in 1999, and it's a public and private partnership with the support of UNIDO and UNEP. This center is providing technical assistance to industries for efficient use of resources and the introduction of clean techniques and technologies, allowing the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions. And we also implemented in 2006 a corporate social responsibility charter, and this chart we created a CGM label, and we do label all the businesses that are CSR with the CGM label. Also, with the collaboration of the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, we launched the Air Quality Pact last February. This Quality Pact provides companies with tools to measure, manage, and report about the greenhouse gas emissions. We also contributed in the creation of the Waste Valorization Coalition. This initiative that our Confederation is heading was presented last year in COP21 in Paris. This coalition is gathering public and private partners, associations and experts, and aims to create an appropriate environment for the development of the waste valorization sectors and the promotion of circular economy. And we had you had yesterday the presentation of one of my colleagues, Hanan, yesterday was talking about circular economy, how it works in this valorization waste coalition. And we also would like to announce that in a few weeks, we are creating a public-private coalition as well for a water coalition. So, ladies and gentlemen, Moroccan private sector was actively involved in developing mechanisms under the Tokyo Protocol, both for mitigation and adaptation. The Clean Development Mechanisms portfolio in Morocco, one of the most important in Africa, reflects the commitment of our private sector. Therefore, the success of the implementation of the new Paris Climate Agreement is for us a key challenge, particularly when it comes to financing the countries that will be strongly impacted. The expected climate finance mechanism should be used in an efficient and optimal way in order to provide concrete assistance to vulnerable countries, especially in the African continent. In this context, we should focus on facilitating access to a larger number of countries, and to do so, there is here some drivers, such as new mitigation mechanisms that should be less complex and more predictable. Also, grant application procedures should follow transparent and clear rules with equal opportunities for all vulnerable countries. And also, we need strong partnership between public and private sectors that should be designed and secure to ensure that money will really go to adaptation mitigation and not exclusively to support countries' budgets. We need also industry's competitiveness that should be considered equally critical as countries' vulnerability. Adapting to climate change should not hamper economic systems, and that's an important statement. I would like just to tell you that during these 24 hours, these 2 days, we haven't been talking a lot about adaptation. And just would like to ring that bell of adaptation. It's important, and I'm sure that the next events on climate change will take into consideration the adaptation issue. So during COP21, we were 24 business organizations to meet in Paris for high-level business summit on energy and climate, organized by MEDEF, which is the business organization, French business organization. We all signed a joint statement through which we pledged to contribute to address climate change. They have been presented, and they are still in the way to be put in action. So this year, our objective is to mobilize even a larger number of business organizations for the Marrakesh joint statement. This joint statement will be signed during the high-level business summit on climate change that will be organized in November. This event will gather about 400-500 business leaders, government representatives, international organizations, and experts. We'll take this opportunity to invite you all to be present with us in Marrakesh. I just hope that this Business and Climate Summit will continue to be an effective platform for constructive discussion, friendly debate, and development of fruitful partnership and future business opportunities for all stakeholders. I would also like to again welcome you to participate and to make COP22 in Marrakesh the COP of actions, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, and also thank you to CGEM for your being a great partner on this year's Business and Climate Summit. Now it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Pierre Ducret, Advisor on Green Finance at Paris Europlace, to the other side of the stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure many of you remember that last year, Paris Europlace, together with Caisse des Dépôts and EIB, took the initiative to organize the first Climate Finance Day. It was just the day after the first Business and Climate Summit. We can now consider that this was a very important milestone in the young history of climate finance, mainly because for the first time, investors, insurers, and banks, the three main components of the financial industry, together with the regulators too, gathered to showcase financial solutions to combat climate change. The main message of the event was, just to summarize it, the fact that there were already that the financial institution had already the means and the tools to act by their own without waiting only for a carbon price to come to bring solution. This kind of recognition of its own responsibility as a branch of the global economy was in fact the launching of the financial part of the action agenda. Just let me tell you a word about Paris in this event and about the Paris financial marketplace. Because it's not only because of the location of the COP21 that we took this decision. It's also because the French financial institutions are at the forefront of climate action, both collectively and individually. Responsible investment is a long tradition and a specificity of French institutional investors, as well as of the insurers community. As regards French banks, they are very innovative in green products and services, such as green bonds. The Paris-based research on climate economics and finance is very creative, and even our regulatory frameworks now is becoming more and more creative and innovative. Paris is already a green financial center and intends to develop this specificity. And so I'm glad to announce that today the Paris marketplace took a new collective commitment which is summarized on this slide. It's a very comprehensive collective commitment, a very inclusive one, dealing a lot with the new disclosure issue which was discussed today, of course, and including the relationship with clients, with companies, of course, but also with the regulation authorities. We need this kind of commitments, collective and individual, all over the world, in the South as well as in the North, because the financial part of the action agenda is very heavy. There is a huge work to do. Green finance for development, blending public and private finance to overcome barriers to green investments, mainstreaming climate action among and within financial actors. We'll also have together to evaluate the progress we will do and the effects, the real effect, the effective impact of what we are achieving. And this stock-taking process for the financial industry is by itself a very difficult issue. So in order to keep the momentum, I'm happy to announce that Paris Europlace give the baton to Casablanca Finance City, that is organizing the second edition of the Climate Finance Day in Casablanca on 4th of November. And it's a real pleasure for me to give the floor to Lamia Mirzuki, Deputy CEO of Casa Finance City, that will describe this event.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As a leading regional financial center and as part of our green finance positioning, Casablanca Finance City is organizing on the 4th of November the Climate Finance Day in Casablanca, just a few days before the COP22 in Marrakesh. This event is in line with the Moroccan COP22 presidency priorities, meaning that it will be action-orientated. And the Kingdom of Morocco is fully engaged to help implement the Paris Agreement via tangible actions. So this year, during the Climate Finance Day, the discussion will be on the how to concretely scale up green financing, how to strengthen the awareness and further raise ambition within the financial community, how to mobilize the private sector worldwide and in the African continent, because as the COP is taking place in an African country, there will be obviously a special focus on Africa. The second particularity of this event is that a pragmatic recommendation will be proposed to transform climate finance into concrete impacts. And that is why we will have two sectorial focus, one on agriculture and the other on energy, on agriculture and especially on adaptation. And both areas, agriculture and energy, have specific funding issues and offer great opportunities for investors, especially in emerging countries and in particular in Africa. So these sectorial panels will showcase some flagship initiatives as, for instance, the AAA initiative that was just launched by the Moroccan presidency, the AAA initiative meaning adaptation for agriculture in Africa. We will also showcase some other initiatives like, the Mazen initiative that launched Africa's largest solar energy plant and so on. We are blessed to have prestigious partners that support us. These partners include, obviously, Paris Europlace, the African Development Bank, the EIB, the PRI, IDFC, and last but not least, the Business Federation, the CGRM, chaired by Mrs. Mariam Ben Saleh, as well as the Moroccan Insurance and Banking Federation. As for the program, we are honored to have high-caliber speakers, and today I can disclose the name of our moderators, Nick Robbins from UNEP Inquiry, Chris Knowles from EIB, Monique Barbu from the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, and still to be confirmed, Rachel Kite, that we had the pleasure to hear yesterday. The day after, on November 5th, there will be a forum organized by the IDFC, the International Development Finance Club, which is a network of leading development institutions, namely KfW, JICA, AFD, etc. And this forum will continue the discussion and will focus on practical tools. So for the first time, the Climate Finance Day and the IDFC Forum will take place back-to-back. That means that we will have 2 days devoted to climate finance, representing one of the largest gatherings of international climate finance practitioners. We would like these conferences to become the must-attend annual gathering dedicated to climate finance. In a way, the annual meeting of the international financial community to discuss the latest development related to climate finance. And on behalf of Casablanca Finance City, I look forward to welcoming you to Casablanca in November as a participant in our Climate Finance Day, and thank you.
Thank you, Lamia. And now it's an absolute pleasure for me to invite one of the UNFCCC climate champions, and I think a champion for all of us, Laurence Tubiana.
Thank you, Mark, and of course, Akima Elaite would have loved to be there, and she could not. And of course, I'm speaking in behalf of her as well. So we are like two really very sort of close champion, and it's really a pleasure to work with her. So I want to be very brief, but really first thanking you. And I'm really delighted as a high-level champion to see the continuing leadership of the business community, which is expression now on the Business Climate Summit, which I think is a very important moment in time. And again, that proves that this action, there is no disorientation or disinterest after Paris. So thank you to have done that. And you played such a role before Paris to get the agreement done with a level of ambition. Believe me, we could not have achieved that without you. So again, thank you. The second is, of course, this good, we have this business hand of climate change report these days. You have published that because, as I said the first day, it's very important to understand what your vision, your commitments are, and how we can track them. So again, thank you for that. I think we will build a report of the champion based on this report and others, of course, and all the contribution will be welcome. Just to remind you that Akima Light and myself will launch a consultation process where you are all invited to contribute to on the website of the UNFCCC to suggestion, governance of this action agenda, elements you see fit that we can testify in front of the whole world in Marrakesh in COP22 of how real climate action is. Looking forward on this to Marrakesh and certainly beyond, we have to build on the processes which ensure that the Business and Climate Summit continues and deliver each time like it will be the case already with the business report, but certainly I hope Brice will convey a certain number of key messages that as a champion, together with Akima, we will bring to the government in the COP process. So the Business Climate Summit is a moment where you gather your idea, your vision, and the needs of dialogue with government we have as high-level champion to ensure that the discussion take place at the right moment. So again, thank you to give this message clearly, and in a way, we will make sure that we bring them to the discussion. I have some demands to you by Marrakesh, and as I said in the first day, we need to know what is your action plan for 2018 and 2020 on the business side. We ask the same for the government, we'll ask the same for the cities and the region and the subnational authorities. So I think we need to have this clear action roadmap to 2018 and to 2020 that we can trace and that we can see how much progress we can make, because this will give, again, optimism to the governments to do more, to be more prepared to add actions, and for some, have more ambitious national development determined contribution. So 2018 targets objective, very important for us to gather what you can present in Marrakesh, and please communicate with us if you have any question. I'm sure that we have to, what I get is that, again, from all this process, now it's well established, we need the dialogue between business and government. In a way, the high-level champion are in between to ensure that this is taking place. As I said in the first day, national discussion, absolutely central. but we have to have the global discussion as well, even if on this carbon pricing, technology, innovation, regulation, we need all this, we need this global dialogue as well as, and it's as important, the national dialogue. I'm very happy that I seem to decide that the next one will take place in a developing country again, next time in Asia maybe, but that's very important that now we move this London, Paris based somewhere else. We need the other ones to take place. We need to, in a way, be more inclusive and bring this discussion somewhere else, and Asia would be a fantastic opportunity if it's possible. So 2018, how yourself you see the transparency mechanisms that everybody can understand what business are doing and how they are delivering 2018 targets, contribution to the report of the high-level champions through whatever you have been producing already. That will be the key element to demonstrate that climate action is going on, and that really we can be more optimistic than we are today on the capacity to really be fulfilling the big and ambitious Paris goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Laurence. And last but by no means least, I'm glad to welcome to the stage Brice Lalonde, who is the president of the Business and Climate Summit. Brice, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. As a well-behaved chairman, my first task is to thank you. Thank the Climate Group. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Natalia, Christopher, Beth. You know, it was a fantastic meeting, a huge job, and so we are very grateful to all what you've done. And thank you for all of you for coming here. Thank you for the beautiful experiences, the demonstrations, the showcase, everything, the finance, and you know, I've got it at least from niche to mainstream, from 25% price of the emissions covered by a price to 75%. I mean, okay, Mark, in the few days, the Climate Group is still going to work and go to sort of a summary of all the conclusions or main messages of all the sessions we have had here. So that's fantastic. The Business and Climate Summit, you know, was created before COP21 because we wanted to show to governments that business was ready, that business was committed, that by no means you could find a solution to fight climate change without the business. Because in the end, who's going to implement? Where do all the products come from? Where do all the jobs come from? Where does the money come from? The investments come from? In the end, it comes from companies, people working, communities working, business. And what was so interesting was that some of the business leaders, CEOs, said, we are here to reassure politicians, to show them that it is possible, that we can go to a low-carbon society, and this is what we're going to do every year. We want the Business and Climate Summit to be the place where business discusses with itself, with governments, and with our dear champions. And we are so happy to have you with us. And we are so happy, Chair Lady from the Moroccan business, to be here. And we'll all rush to Marrakesh to help you and to try to deliver even better and better on very practical solutions. The spirit of the Business and Climate Summit is that common good, our planet, needs us to unify, to unite, to work together. The time is for cooperation. The time is not to split and to go in our own way, each of us. We have to work all together, okay? And I'm very much in favor of the European Union, I must say. The European Union was the most fantastic project after the Second World War. Just remember our parents, our grandparents building this so that there would be no more war in the European continent. And for the climate policy, the European Union led the way by far, by starting, by showing, by doing big things. And not only on the climate or on different areas, but also lifting out of poverty. Portugal, Spain, Ireland, Poland, etc. Fantastic machine, fantastic success. Don't forget that, and we must not forget it. So the question for us is the following. The Brexit. Is it an accident? Because accidents do happen sometimes. Or is it a new political era where irresponsible demagogues are going to try to break all what we have been building and trying to do. We won't let it. And because sometimes politics becomes so volatile, we want this community here, the business community, who's working so hard, who has such beautiful projects, to be with our governments and with our champions, the steady place, consistent, coherent, bringing the long-term